You've probably seen me do Play-Doh printing many times using my gel plate and acrylic paints, but did you know that you could also use your ink pads, both Distress, Archival, or any kind of ink pads you might have, to make prints with your Play-Doh? Fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, this very first thing and then I'm going to show you is a fabric doily, as you see there up top, and I'm just taking my Play-Doh and smashing it right into that doily, and you can see I got a pretty great sort of reproduction of the texture on that doily. Now, one of the great things about using this technique is that you can take the negative impression of anything, of any texture or stamp that you want to reproduce, but you're reproducing the negative bits. Now, what I mean by that is that if you look at the doily, all the places where there's nothing, there's holes, those are the places where you see the ink on the stamped image. Like, that's the negative. So if you ever want to take the negative of something, this is a really great way to do that. Also, as you can see, I'm able to stamp over and over again using just one, stamping off of the doily. Now, you want to be gentle. I mean, this is a malleable product. Obviously, it's Play-Doh, so you can't be super aggressive about it. But if you're gentle in the stamping and the inking process, you can keep going with the same impression many times. Now, I'm done with this impression, so what I'm doing is I'm just rolling it right up, and I'm going to take a new one to go in with a different color. Now, that's all you have to do. You just roll it up and sort of get the inky part away and find a clean place to put more ink, and that's it. Like, there's no cleanup process. There's nothing you have to do later on to sort of rid your Play-Doh of this ink. Now, the Play-Doh will get discolored, of course, but that doesn't mean anything to me. It still works. It still functions. The only thing you might notice is that the Play-Doh does get a little firm over time if you do this over and over and over again, but it still works. It's not really a problem. That is something that I noticed. Now, I've sped this up, obviously, and I'm going to skip through most of this, but it's just me taking several different impressions of the doily in different colors. Now, that one there has been sprayed with water because it is distressed oxide. So after you get your impressions, you can go through and you can spray it, and you can do all the things that you can do with oxides. Now, this second one I'm going to show you guys, I mean, I was doing a lot of extra stuff here, but I'm trying to find an easy way to stamp a larger portion of this mesh bag. So I have like a little fondant. It's a fondant texture cutter. I don't know. It's for baking, but I'm using it here to hold my Play-Doh so that I can have a nice little handle to make this impression. Now, this is a really larger sort of reproduction of that mesh bag, and I'm just going over it and inking it up with my distressed oxides. But the reason I wanted to show you guys this particular process is that if you find that you're inking it up, one of the great things about using Play-Doh is that after you stamped everything out, if you want to go in and fill in the spaces like I'm going to do here, you can sort of break off a piece and mold it into the shape and size that you want it to be, and then just go in and ink it up. It's super easy to sort of fill in any gaps in any way that you choose. So, and then what I also love is that you'll see some of these, I think, at the end. I did a bunch of different ones, is that I can go through and spray this because it is oxide. I can go through and make it sort of my own and give it a grungy look or a watercolor effect, etc. Now, this was the second one that I did, but I noticed when I pulled it off that it had this great texture on the back from that fondant cutter. Like, this was just serendipitous, right? I was just taking the mesh bag and I noticed that the back of it looked really cool too. So I just inked that part up and I started making a pattern with that. I used two different colors of blue, two different shades of blue from the distressed oxide line. And obviously, I mean, I'm not hanging this on the wall, but it's just a background. It's just a pretty pattern that you can make using whatever pattern you happen to find, which is what I just did. Now this one really quickly is it is a black lace, and I'll actually drop a link to a video where I did some gel printing with this same lace. It's a great pattern, but I was pretty surprised that I was able to pick up such a clean reproduction of this lace, because it doesn't have a lot of relief. It's pretty flat, the pattern. So the fact that I was able to pick up so much of it using the Play-Doh and able to get a nice stamping with it, I thought was pretty cool. So it's very versatile in that way. Now this this thing is a silicone mold. It's a silicone lace mold, and I wanted to show you guys this one because I'm showing you the technique that you can, if whatever you're stamping doesn't fit, you can just trim it up. It doesn't fit, I mean it's bigger than you would like it to be, or what have you. It includes more texture than you would actually like to stamp. You can just get your scissors and trim that right on off. Now this is just a lace texture that I am stamping off, and I made it round with my scissors, and I'm able to really get a really great impression there. Now this technique I find super useful. I do this one all the time. Like I have this Art by Marlene texture plate that has a bunch of different textures and patterns on it. I mean, it's sort of busy, to be honest. It's beautiful, but it's sort of busy, and so there's a lot of different things going on this stamp, on this texture plate. And so sometimes you want to isolate some of these great patterns and textures and just use a bit of it. Now this is a really great way to do that. Now I have just isolated a really tiny triangular pattern shape off of this Art by Marlene texture stamp, and I'm able to use that on my pre-made background there. And I just think that is really an amazing way to use this technique. Now I'm just doing a second one here because that Art by Marlene stamp is it's got a lot of great pattern on it. So I'm just going to take a second impression here and use it on another background. Honestly, this is one of the ways that I use this technique the most, simply because I have a lot of texture plates, and sometimes there's just a lot on those plates and I want just a little bit of it, and this is a really good way to do that. This is Stormy Skies in the Distressed Oxide line, I believe. Now, the final thing I'm going to show you guys, oh no, this isn't the final thing, this is the random thing. I wanted to include some randomness too, because I mean, it wouldn't be me if I wasn't random, if I didn't find a little piece of something and try to take a print from it. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it came off of. I don't know. It's just a thing that I found around my house, and I noticed that it had a pattern in it, and I was like, can I take an impression of this? Of course you can. It's Play-Doh, right? Now this pattern, I don't love it. It's not my best work, but I just wanted to demonstrate that you can take these found items and use them like you would any other kind of stamp, right? Like, and another good part of this, another part that reason that I liked this particular found item is I took a big impression of it, and now I can take a little one, a smaller impression of it, and that's like sort of the beauty of using the Play-Doh as well. You can make it big or small. You can make it however you want it to be. I still don't know what that thing is. This final one this is a 3D texture fade from Tim Holtz with the numbers. I really like this one. Now you can just smash this in as you just saw me do, and then ink it right up with your ink pads. That's an archival jet black right there. I inked that right on up, and I was able to get a really great stamp with my embossing folders. Now that doesn't stretch your supplies. I don't know what does, and I'm just demonstrating here that you can keep inking it up if you want to, and keep going with this same impression for quite some time. I mean, at some point it's going to flatten out, but you know, you can keep going with it. So this is the recap. These are all of the prints that we did today. And so I really made this video just to show you guys that this Play-Doh technique is really versatile, and the idea that you can take almost anything and not only use it on your gel plate, but use it as a stamp, use it for stamping. And to me, that's really appealing. That just blows my mind how far you can stretch just everyday items and your craft supplies. So I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please go ahead and leave a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I hope to see you guys next time, and in the meantime, keep creating and making. Bye bye.